started. John, I'm sure will be here, but, well, we'll get them when we get them. There is a video recording being made, if you guys can let me know if somebody comes in late, so I can tell them. The minutes of February 26th, due to the storm, I only distributed them this afternoon, so I think we can wait until next week to approve those. So that brings us to department budget review and approval. Typically, what we do is approve base budgets, subject always to subsequent votes that might revise the amounts. And then we go piece by piece in later meetings looking at requests beyond guidelines. I think there's news on insurance, possibly, maybe? Oh, come on, you guys can fight over it.
No, you
As
can
long
go.
as you want.
It's okay.
Sounds like good news
Zero.
right there.
Zero.
It's a zero.
Wow.
0%
Zero
increase?
increase for
On the-
FY19
On the health.
on the health insurance.
That's
The other ones,
It makes up
Yeah.
for one
it's
year.
anyone's guess. I'll finalize that by the next time you meet, but 0% for health insurance is
Is there a backstory to that, or?
That happened in Masco too.
great management.
That's what I wanted, congratulations, great job.
No, Shay's been very instrumental in helping us to get, our strategy in alignment with a lot of the things that we've been doing in terms of in the finance team and trying to, we've had 2 rounds of health plan design changes that have helped not only our OPEB outlook, but also our, the fact that our utilization is down is a core indicator, but also we've been taking steps where possible to try to mitigate those increases in working with Maya. It's great news, and it also is a ripple effect with Masco, because Masco is also a member of the Maya. And their rate, and I won't speak for them, but their rate is going to be adjusted as well, I understand. But it's a great, that represents, we had a projection of about a $210,000 increase in next year's budget, so now it's a 0. So
I would say it was terrible with the model of that, because I assumed.
that's why I called a
12%.
model, right? You
Yeah.
can't see into the future. If we estimated 0,
Yeah.
we would have been
I'd
said we're
rather-
mismanaging and we weren't being conservative and, right?
That's
sort of
just
a joke.
dangerous.
Well, the 10 though is the medical trend. So just to give you a sense, when we make our assumption, it's based on what medical trend is. And until they can look at our plan utilization more specifically, we heard at the MMA meeting about maybe a few weeks ago that we were probably closer to, their average increase was 4.6%. And so at that time they said, you're not gonna be at 10, we can't give you a specific number yet until you talk with the utilization folks at Blue Cross Blue Shield. And so it wasn't until Friday that he gave us the news of the 0%. So, thanks goes to the board for adopting and supporting the sections 21 through 23, but also all the unions. So 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you remember that we had a voluntary coalition of all of the unions came together and took that first step with us without having to adopt section 21 through 23. So I think that's great indication that everybody understands we all have skin in the game. 1/3 is paid by employees, 2/3 by the town. But I think that we've really demonstrated our ability to help move that ball forward together. And they should be commended and thanked for that as well. So it's remarkable that we're at a 0%. The bad news is that there's never any promise for next year. It could go back to 13, you don't know. So it's a blessing, but it's also a little bit of a curse that we can't count on that every year. But for now, we have a little reprieve, and we're hopeful we'll take it and run with it. So I hope that sets your meeting off to a good start.
So I think it worked out to, what you had, Mike, was almost $219,000. So that goes in the right direction. That's good. Yeah. And Dana, you want to just do a little Masco update before we
Sure.
start voting on anything, since that's another another big piece that we're waiting for?
So as we spoke last week, Masconomic came in with a 6.3% increase for FY19. I had I'd sent out an email to Dr. Lyons and Bill Hodges. And let me read this, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Chair. This is Kevin and Bill. Thank you for attending our Finance Committee meeting on February 5th and for sharing your preliminary thinking with our committee. Unfortunately, the impact of your planned budget submission was unclear at that time, and the budget document that was received on February 12th came as a bit of a surprise. After presenting increases in the general fund expenses of 2.8% and 3.2% in FY17 and FY18 respectively, along with corresponding community contribution increases of 0.09% and 2.1% in those same years, we believe that Masconomic finances were tracking well with the affordability issues of our communities. Request for a 6.3% increase for FY19 is an unfortunate turn of events. While I appreciate the well-reasoned description of the current needs included in the FY19 plan, I was not able to identify any offsets to mitigate the areas of increases that are argued as being essential. I think it would be helpful to review the budget proposal for opportunities to eliminate some expenditures that are less essential or urgent than the new priorities, or delay some of the new spending initiatives, or both. I note that the debt service begins a substantial fall in FY20. The timing of the introduction of new spending and the thorough examination of existing spend will be necessary to create a budget that we, parentheses I, will be able to support. I think that this process can benefit from an additional discussion in an upcoming FinCom meeting, and invite you to join us on March 12th at 7 p.m. Let me know if you're available. I did receive a response from Dr. Lyons to that, advising that they are now in the process, the school committee's in the process of discussing or deliberating on the budget, and that would occur, I believe it's Wednesday of this week, and also next Monday. So they likely would not be available next Monday. I responded to that with suggesting that potentially the following week, we might be able to have them with us. So that's the 19th. I know I'm not here for that, and I think somebody else, you're not here. So that doesn't mean it can't be done.
I'm not here on the 19th either.
Whoa.
So that's probably.
That's a bad
So-
night then.
So one of the things that we might want to talk about is, do we want to try to find another day during the week to hold a special FinCom meeting to do that?
Yeah.
I'll say I'm out all that week, so it doesn't,
I'm up, well, I'm back, yeah, Friday I'm back.
Yeah.
Oh,
That doesn't
yeah.
help.
yeah, so that's not a good
Just that
one.
one day for me.
So that's just that one.
Yeah.
So, the other thing is noted, there is a reduction they found in the spend for the medical health insurance. I'm hopeful, based on what we gave as guidance at 3%, and the other towns gave it, I believe it was 2% and 3% increases.
Sure, I did.
I'm hopeful that based on that, and based on the open meeting they had a week ago when we were here, we did not attend that for a variety of reasons. I'm hopeful that something came from that meeting that's encouraging them to look at ways to either defer some of those expenditures or offset them.
I think the transportation numbers,
Yeah,
It is in there. Yeah.
right?
The
So
300.
so if that comes out, that's in the right direction. 'Cause
Yeah.
it sounds like that's unlikely this year, from what they were.
Just a question, are you saying that, because there was, in that budget that he submitted last week, or that was the school budget, was the change in these school hours, is that the same
That's
thing
what
you're
Yeah, that's what
referencing?
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so that should lower it by 300,000.
Well, the total,
The total.
yeah, it's 340.
So that should help.
Right, so,
Because they're not gonna make any changes to the hours, is what I understand.
Yeah.
That's what they
Well, until-
alluded to during our meeting.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
so.
But then they put that in the budget that they published on the 9th.
exactly.
Which is, I think they just never removed it from the budget.
they even said that in here.
They said that it was still gonna be on there, but every week that goes by, it seems more unlikely that we're making changes for this year.
Which is good, because it wasn't in the elementary budget.
It wasn't even
But
the
there's
elementary
also-
budget for any of the towns.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, so that was just going to compound the issue.
So if I'm able to find out any more information off hours, I'll do that, and I'll share that
Okay.
so with this group.
3% would be $1 million increase, thereabouts, right? Because they were at about 32, 33 last year, million, I think.
Where the towns,
Yeah, just
Yeah,
overall.
just the towns.
So 300 there is still, they're still at over a $2 million increase for the year. I think it's 6.3%, or whatever, 6 point whatever percent.
Yeah,
So I'm just
yeah,
saying,
it
Yeah.
was something like
and then they had,
ish, yeah.
Look it up.
Well, but we can't vote it tonight because
Right.
they don't have a vote still.
So I think there's a considerable amount of pressure that they're dealing with, and my hope at this point is they're seriously looking at ways to reduce the impact on the three communities. I don't think we're alone on this.
okay.
Okay, so they will do what they do, and well, they'll come in to some meeting.
Does it make sense, Karen, to have a meeting before the 19th?
Yeah.
Maybe that
I
Wednesday or
think
Thursday?
it
If-
would.
Will they be ready by then? What was the date they're having their vote?
This week and next Monday.
So the 12th, so 14th to
The
15th.
14th or 15th. I know I won't be here, but the rest of you go, yeah.
I will be here.
You won't be.
So you're out the 12th and the 19th.
I'm sorry, today is the 5th.
Today's the 5th.
The 12th, I'm here the 12th.
You're here the 12th.
I'm traveling the 13th, 14th, 15th.
Oh.
Okay.
And then I'm traveling the 19th, 20th, 21st.
Just
Yeah,
cutting it close, that's all.
yeah, oh, yeah.
So Saturdays are, I'm not sure what people's schedules are Saturday mornings. I know there have been meetings by other groups on Saturdays. Not that I prefer to do that. but-
No, for me, that's gonna be hard.
Okay.
But other people, or if you wanna have a meeting at 5 next Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, I mean, it's up to you guys.
14th and 15th, I'm out too.
Yeah.
But
Sounds like the 26th.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to see
Well, the question is.
what they vote.
Is when they finish their work this weekend next, are we gonna be able to influence them to change that on the
Yeah, I was gonna
conversations
say,
that
Yeah.
I might have with them?
what if we do the 20th instead of the 19th?
On the Tuesday.
Jay and
I'm
Dana
on
won't be here.
Sunday to Thursday night.
I think that's fine if.
But I'm just saying, at least we can deliver the message. and get
Can
our
we at
input
least
in.
get our hands on the budget as they vote it, to consider it
I can do
amongst
the 20th.
ourselves? Then we can have discussion then at least. That might be helpful.
Let me reach out to them, and I think they're still deliberating. So they're deliberating this week, and the email I received suggested it wouldn't likely be completed this week, and it would carry over to Monday. So there's a possibility.
But they're
they might-
done.
They might finish this week. Dr. Lyson sounds optimistic on that.
So we could have something real on the 12th, but we might not.
But they're saying the worst case is, well, not worst case, but more probable than not, that by the end of the night of the 12th, they'll have had something.
That's what it sounds like,
Yeah.
but they have specific deadlines,
Yeah.
and it's not the 12th, it's, they have to certify by the 29th,
I don't, it'd be,
30 days prior to the,
No, they've got a different requirement, it's not 30 days before our town meeting, it's some number of days before the first town meeting, which is ours, but it's,
I'd have to
I
go
think
back and look at
before we have to finish.
What about the 13th? It'd be 2 nights, late nights.
That's the only thing on the agenda, might not be that bad.
Yeah. You said the 13th?
If they're ready, maybe the 14th.
Some people said 14th or 15th, according to.
Yeah,
Any night off of Monday's a bonus for me.
Okay.
Hey, they have to go late on Monday and they have to come here on Tuesday, but.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might be better to get it done.
yeah. I
And
think that's,
if enough of you can make the 13th,
I
I'll
can
post
agree.
both.
I can.
okay.
I'm pretty sure I can.
Eric,
Eric,
you?
anything?
I'll be in Canada on the 14th, I suppose I could take a 6:30 flight in the morning.
That's how you got me on this.
I do most Tuesdays, so.
I was gonna go up the night before, but I guess not now.
Sorry, no.
It's only Canada, it's not that far.
Oh, it's not always there.
No, I don't have to, like, eating out, it's terrible.
Yeah,
Saves a
exactly.
hotel room. And John will promise to end the meeting early enough that you can get sleep before you have to get up in the
I
morning.
am succinct for words.
Boy, that's 4.
That's 4, because you're out and I'm out.
I'll make the 13th. I'll make the 13th.
It's just you and me, who weren't here on the 13th. Okay, and I'll close the vote. And thank you all for doing that.
Sorry to make it.
Well, I won't be here, so.
19th. Forgot about that.
Okay, so at this point, what
So
we,
Dana, you'll check to see if they can come in for that, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Just let us know and
and
that's.
I'll put them on the agenda
Travel.
for both nights, just.
Change everything. What do you mean?
I'll put them in 7 both nights.
Yep.
As a potential. And then there's all the other usual. So in terms of voting the budgets, we have the January 3rd omnibus spreadsheet. Now, there are a few departments that have revised since that maybe we should leave aside. Police is one of,
Fire would be too, correct? This is the contract negotiations that haven't been.
well, we can vote
The
the
base
base,
budget,
and if they
and
happen
then-
to settle,
That's separate.
we can re-vote. If they settle in the next couple of weeks, if they don't, no. It just lives in salary reserve. So I think the police base budget changed also since January 3rd.
There was a,
So
Yes.
this, he
his
had
and ours
clarification
were
of his,
different.
he had that one with clarification of his, that amount that was contracted to his. They were trying to clarify that, I thought actually made it more convenient.
Yeah, I would be inclined not to vote something we're confused about. But if we can get a lot of the base budgets out of the way, gets the other thing with an eye to the bottom line, which on the version of the model that Mike had published, we were 400 and almost 435,000 over the levy limit. We just cut that in half thanks
Right.
to the insurance coming in level. So we're only 210-ish thousand over the levy limit.
That was assuming 3% by NASCO, right?
Right, and that was assuming elementary a guideline with the same extraordinary sped as last year, which right now it's not, but in terms of the big picture. And that was with $100,000 in snow and ice deficit, which we don't know.
It slowed down significantly, we haven't had a lot of snow
Snow.
this winter.
Yeah.
But, that might be a good segue into our tree funds. So, there's $25 left for, tree work in town, so, we might be dealing with the reserve fund transfer request next week.
So I can't get the highway department to chop my tree up.
Well,
You messed up the whole town.
Sorry.
Not the whole town, it's what,
Half of it,
$64,000.
half of it.
That's a relatively small number, it's $10,000 to $15,000, we may have more information by, after Wednesday this week, because I guess we get another storm.
6 days.
And so, but I would like to coordinate with Dave Twans, Thursday or Friday this week to get a better number. And to try to, so he can help, so he can get his paperwork in order to submit
Right.
reserve fund transfer requests.
The tree department is not a big department, it's not like they can absorb these unexpected costs elsewhere in their budget, which is what we always ask departments to do for a reserve fund transfer. But there is no.
There's not a big tree department.
No. And it's also not the case that he would want to be asking for something different in fiscal 19. This was just a really bad year with a hurricane, the Halloween, or pre-Halloween storm, and then this nor'easter. Yeah, okay.
The tree warden salary, I was just trying to find out. The tree department's whole budget was $15,662.
And-
They were proposing level funded, but
Yeah.
it's not a big budget.
And half of that's the warden's salary or something, yeah. Yeah, okay, so they don't really have any place to go find another $10,000–15,000. Okay, yeah, well, I'll have to fill out the paperwork and explain why it's unanticipated and show that he doesn't have the funds. And I can put it on the agenda for next week, assuming that he has the information together. That certainly meets the criteria of unanticipated, so. Okay, so we don't have to touch the tree fiscal 19. So aside from the police, which needs clarifying, and the insurance, which we probably shouldn't vote until we've got revised numbers in front of us. Are there other days?
Yeah, well, I just want to make note, even with the insurance number cut in, new number, Article 3 is still at 3.56%.
Yeah.
Which is on the high side, is to the 2.5% levy number that we anchors to.
In real dollars, it's about $250,000 we have to.
So Article 3, it's the whole thing, but that's up 685 over last year. But that, that's
And
everything.
before we account for the elementary extraordinary,
Right, no, so I put in the elementary,
extraordinary
The-
sped,
the
just
came in.
trying on the fly.
Right.
Yeah.
That has
I
the,
put in the elementary, I don't know if the elementary voted it, but they came in last week and.
they're gonna hit their guideline, but the
Right.
guideline is the percentage over last year net of the one-time extraordinary.
Right.
But the one-time extraordinary this year is 18.
Well, it was,
I don't have it on.
it was 3.59% overall, the elementary.
Okay,
Uh,
but
so-
in the numbers that you're looking at in front of you now, that has that higher.
It has a higher number in there,
Okay,
yes.
that's.
Yeah, it has a higher number in there, so I updated everything and
Yeah.
just kind
Gotcha.
of caught up with this. So I just want to note is, it's
Yeah.
really good news on the insurance,
Yeah.
So
but,
good.
But
but it's,
there's-
but
there's
it's,
still
ways to go.
but there's still some pain here.
balancing to do.
Yeah.
The other thing about their extraordinary sped, I know that can change. And you turn around and it's higher or it's lower, it depends on what kids and what negotiations the assistant superintendent is doing. So it's worth asking them
Yeah, oh, yeah.
again, so that we're not surprised. Because in the end, you have to pay them. Okay, so are there any others that we know we should hold aside? Like I said, we can always revisit votes. So the motion we make traditionally is maybe superseded by a future vote, and that covers us for any beyond guidelines work we want to do. Or any revisions with, like the police or contracts get settled or what have you.
Start running down the list.
Well, if we vote each number, that'll take a while. Effective way to do it. We all-
We've done it before by doing the lump sum, and
Yeah.
we have the exclusion list of what charges of rent does not
Vote
include.
as presented in the January
Correct.
3rd omnibus budget, excluding whichever police, insurance, whichever departments you want to include. And then if Mike could,
The tracking
make
sheet.
for next week an Article 3 vote tracking that shows base budget
Okay,
in the usual salary plus wages,
yep,
other.
well, I'll use the
And-
existing
yeah.
form, and I will do that, Thank you.
I'd really like to see, and we don't, we can move these budgets forward, but I'd like to still now look at and understand some of the salaries and wages, and just
What's the, is it,
try to get the
step
whole.
plus the COLA as a whole, are we
Exactly.
going up 2%, 2.5%, 3%, 4%,
Frankly,
4.5%?
let's just do base numbers. I would, salary and wages were this year, they're gonna be this next year.
Sure.
Of course, then
That-
you've got people changes.
Recognize that.
It's all
Yeah.
that,
But,
It folds it all together.
but ultimately, managing the budget number is what we do, we manage how you spend that, is what the
Yeah.
calendar is. Very much like to see that.
So you want that prepared as part of the tracker? It's actually a number we calculated in the model,
Yeah.
on the pages. Because I haven't updated and double checked it, I wouldn't want to present it
Yeah,
tonight.
I understand, but that's something, but I think it also probably should be validated with capital
Right,
review
yeah,
or,
no, I'd like to go,
Yeah.
right.
yeah, yeah, I mean, I don't, that's not today, yeah.